I think the title of the email summed it up really, really well. If you're responding to that email and you're watching this session right now because of it, that most salespeople spend hours on social media and then accidentally, pardon me, excuse me, in my opinion, accidentally make themselves easier to ignore. If you really like that title and you're like, yeah, you know what, that could be me, ding dang. I just, I'm putting all this effort on social media. I'm creating posts. I'm posting my customers happy customers taking delivery of their vehicle, and nobody seems to engage with it, other than the customer that took the vehicle, or their mom or their dad or their brother or their spouse. Nobody really gives it a thumbs up and engagement, so on like that. And while that should not be a measure of your success or otherwise, because those are the vanity metrics, at the same time, this could be the very thing that, of the individual that you want to attract and bring to you, could be the very thing that you're pushing them away. We call it in the learning world, in teaching and training, and teachers college, we call it cognitive dissonance. And that's a fancy word for just to push people away, because what happens when we post those happy customers taking delivery of their new vehicle, have you ever thought about what it's like to be the individual on the internet looking at these pictures and saying to yourself, my brother, my sister, my neighbor, my coworker, my buddy for that matter, taking delivery of his nice shiny new black, and fill in the blanks in terms of a model, nice shiny white, and fill in the blanks, fully electric powered vehicle. And are they really happy for them? And I hope they are. I hope most people are, certainly if it's family members and anyone close to them. I really hope they are happy for them and congratulate them with sincerity. But do they also feel a little bit jealous? Do they also feel like, I wish I could do that with my expired lease, now paid off vehicle that is just accruing mileage and time and not worth anything, and now's not a good time for me to buy, and the economy is in recession in Canada, and it's not a good time to buy. The economy is flatline in the US, and I got to just go one more year, and then I could have a vehicle like that, like my brother, like my dad, like my uncle, like my coworker, like my neighbor. And that cognitive dissonance actually hurts their feelings. It hurts your sales. And this is the reason why I say accidentally make themselves ignored. And what I don't think that we're doing well, and I'm only going by with what I see reading here out on the internet, is that are we really going to the tools that we have? Because this session is all about leveraging apps and technology to help you do more in 4 hours than an average ordinary automobile salesperson would do in a day, month, week, if ever in a whole year. And when we look at the opportunities that are in front of it, and I'm not talking about improvements. I'm not talking about improving your closing ratio by 1. I'm not talking about selling one more vehicle this month. I'm not talking about improving your income by $100. Improvements alone will amass themselves to such a point that they are actually an opportunity. But when we look at the leakage that is happening to the sales that we're currently doing, when we accept a 1 in 5 closing ratio, are we really looking at the other side of the equation, that it takes 4 customers? I got to burn through 4 customers to get 1 to buy. And if they're intentional shoppers, then it's all about the lowest price. And so if you are coming to me like everybody else is, and they're saying, Bill, what we need right now in terms of training and help in the dealership would be more leads and better quality of leads. Like, let's do away with the throttle snappers and tire kickers. I don't know how we phrase that advertisement to bring people in, but if we could do away with the throttle snappers and tire kickers, that would be great. Well, I think any advertising agency, and there's a ton of advertisements online right now suggesting that they can do that, better quality leads, 1 in 10 customer, 9 out of 10 of our buyers say that we produce buyers, as opposed to everybody else just generating leads. And, it's the bottom line that counts. They've grabbed 10 customers, 1 who didn't purchase, 9 who did. They grab that last night or this morning or yesterday or last week or last month or last quarter, the good ones. It's not rocket science how we come up with that. Every shopper is a buyer, and every single lead coming into the showroom is a buyer. It's what we do, say, and how we act, which either finalizes the deal and helps them make the decision that they want to make, or does not. 9 times out of 10, what we do, literally 9 times out of 10, what we do. And by the way, I don't know if it's specifically 9 times out of 10. I'm just grabbing a statistics so that I can illustrate it for you. But I think you'll be hard pressed to disagree with me. 9 times out of 10, we confuse the customer. We confuse the customer by not giving exactly what they're looking for, and that doesn't mean the price. Doesn't mean that the customer walks in and we're selling a $40,000 vehicle and they want to buy it for 25 or 30, that we give it to them for that. But what they just told you, that they've got a budget. Now, let me go back to better qualified leads and better, more leads in general, but better qualified leads. I believe that you've got a gold mine right underneath your nose. And as the marketplace starts to tighten, and we're going to see that happen probably now in Q3, certainly the tail end of Q3, as it always does. So that would be September. And then we're probably going to really feel the effects of a flat economy. If anything, in Canada, you folks have a recessed economy now. It's publicly acknowledged and admitted by the politicians, which generally means that it's so painfully obvious that we absolutely know we're there. The gold mine that you have, because that doesn't really matter. That doesn't pay your bills. You can't go to the bank and say, I can't pay my mortgage because we're in a recession, that the politicians agree we're in a recession. And bank still wants their pound of flesh, unquestionably. So the gold mine that you have before you, so that you can pay your mortgage and enjoy a life of a fruitful life of benefits, is to dive into your unsold prospects, to go back to previous customers, to get their second and third vehicle in the driveway, to get the lease returns. Now, you may be brand new in the business and you started yesterday, or you started last month, or you started only 6 months ago, and you say, Bill, I don't have any lease customers. I haven't leased a vehicle. And even if I did, that would be a 4-year turnover, a 5-year turnover. Well, you're right, but the the dealership has maturing leases. The dealership has a portfolio of orphan salespeople who have left. They're not orphan salespeople. They've got a portfolio of orphan customers from salespeople that have left and don't have a contact with the dealership. And that could be someone who just didn't think the business was right for themselves, or the salesperson just, like, I've got a podcast booked for a guy next week. His name is Mike, and I can't wait to share that podcast with you. 40 years in the business. Talk about a lease portfolio. And here's a guy that every time I walk into the dealership, he's never anywhere but at his desk. And he's selling cars day after day, month after month, year after year. He's sometimes the top producer, sometimes he isn't. But we get talking about the lease and the Ford plant specifically, because he works for a Ford store 40 years with the same brand, same dealership. Unbelievable. I can't wait for him to tell his whole story, because it's going to be great. But there's that, when he retires, if he doesn't go to somebody at the dealership and say, look, here's my lease portfolio of 40 years, then I would think that the dealership is going to do like every other dealership, and they'll handle the lease maturities on a 6-month basis as they start to mature, and then get really aggressive on a 90-day basis and get wildly aggressive on 30 days. You could get in front of that, and you could go to the sales manager, go to the lease retention manager, go to the general manager and say, hey, look, I'm brand new. I want to sell 10 vehicles per month. If my closing ratio is 1 in 5, like you told me when I came in here, then I need 50 qualified leads every single month. And if you can give me 10 lease maturities and I get 10 walk-ins, and then I prospect in the service department 10 great trade-ins, well, there's 30 leads. And then, of course, they only have to come up with repeat referral in their own network to make up the balancing 20. Finance contracts are the very same as lease contracts. So if you've been selling cars for 5 years or more, you've got probably a great portfolio of finance. I would say 90% of people finance, 10% maybe pay cash. And of those that want to pay cash, we do show them they're far more advantageous to finance the vehicle, keep their cash, put that in an investment, make money on that. And that making money will actually pay the car payment that they wanted to pay cash for. Anyway, cash buyers are also a great return to the dealership, especially as their warranty starts to expire. That's where I would target finance and cash buyers. Service leads, same thing. Warranty is expiring and it's just time to go. Or we find those vehicles that would be terrific to trade in. Previous inquiries and internet leads. Now, what happens is it's not rocket science. There's nothing new to that hidden gold mine in your CRM of these leads. What the challenge is that we need a mind shift on creating communications that go out to prospect with these people, because that's really what I'm talking about. They don't automatically just wander into the showroom. We need to reach out to them either as unsold or as portfolio, renewing them and bringing them back. The mind shift is this. As we went through the inventory shortage and the pandemic, that we experienced hyperinflation with everything, and especially with automobiles. In 2021, they went up by 20.3%. 2022 price rose by 21.1%. So that's over a 40% increase in 2 years, a 40% increase to the price of an automobile. Now, for any of you that have been selling certainly through that period of time and onward, or started recently, and you didn't do your homework and find out that was the case, when a customer walks in, it is not unusual for them to, for instance, at a Ford dealership who now does not have their value leader automobile, the Escape, and fully expecting their buyers to step up by $3,000 to $4,000 and pay for the new Bronco Sport. It's really easy for us to buy the customer story that, well, I don't have the money. In fact, not only do I not have the increase in biweekly and lease payment, I wanted to reduce my monthly payment. So I'm coming in on a 4, 5, 6, 7-year newer vehicle, not year old, but a 5, 6, 7-year newer vehicle, and I need to reduce my payments. So let that sink in. You really need to look at the customer and say to yourself, okay, I don't get it. How do we move you up 5, 6, 7 years in terms of technology and fuel economy and warranty, not to mention drivability, safety, quality, comfort? How do we move you up that period of time and keep your monthly payments the same? So this is where we need to go to an expert to give us some indication on how does the customer think? And there's the reason why I would say most of your customers are confused when they look at your automobile is because we actually try to fit the old payment into the new vehicle price, and none of that makes any sense. When Apple introduces their new iPhone, it goes up in price. When Samsung introduces their new tablet, it goes up in price. When Garmin introduces a new smartwatch, it's up in price. Why? Because the technology that has been added to it justifies the value of the price increase, not to mention it's up to date with what materials are required in the marketplace in order for them to be able to produce it. It makes absolutely zero sense to me when I walk into the showroom of a dealership and I hear a sales consultant go to the sales manager and say, yeah, they're interested in the vehicle, but we got to somehow come in at a lower price. Somehow is the primary word. Like pick up a magic wand and just wave it in the air and it magically turns whatever price the manufacturer decided the vehicle would sell for. Make no mistake, the manufacturer has done a great job. Just looking at one of my cameras. There we go. I better get in screen. The manufacturer has done an excellent job of researching the marketplace and ensuring that that vehicle is affordable. They know exactly what household is going to purchase it. They know exactly how much that household makes in terms of single income, combined income. And this is how they determine that the vehicle has a place in the market. And that's from everything from a Kia Rio or a Soul all the way to the BMW XM. There is no reason in a million years for a manufacturer bringing out an automobile that nobody would purchase. That's just, I hope you get that. I hope I don't have to explain that. There's all the reason in the world why a manufacturer designs an automobile, and that is for the purpose of an exclusive market. That's what everybody wants, the exclusive market where nobody can compete with them, and therefore demand will be through the roof like we had in the inventory shortage, and supply will barely meet demand, and therefore everybody's happy. You're happy as a sales consultant, your dealer's happy as a retailer, the manufacturer's on cloud nine because they have so much desirability. I mean, it still exists with some manufacturers to this day, and BMW and Toyota and other manufacturers that have specific brands that are very short supply. I think Kia and Hyundai all have a long wait list for vans and some of their late model offerings. The bottom line is our mind has to shift from, yes, I can lower your monthly payments, to why would you even think that's rational? When you're moving up 6 months, 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 5 years, 7 years, average age of an automobile in Canada is 16 years of age. If someone brings in a 16-year-old vehicle and would like to keep their payments the same, so would I. Talk about wave the magic wand. What a great idea. Is it reasonable? I don't think so. So what we need to do is craft communications that go out to our clients and leveraging ChatGPT, Gemini, or Claude to come up with, well, I've got an AI formula within our manifesto. And what the AI formula does is quickly and easily defines for you the who, the where, what, why, and the action that you need to tell your customers to take. With respect to who, I think that's really quite obvious. You can make a hot list of 10 of your unsold traffic, and then a hot list of 10 of your portfolio or sold vehicles, and maybe even a hot list of orphan leads where these customers don't have a salesperson at the dealership anymore, and a hot list of 10 service department upgrades. That doesn't even include your referrals and your own network, whereby you can consult with ChatGPT, Gemini, or Claude with where's the consumer in the buying cycle. Here is the context of the consumer, which means this is what they're driving, this is how much warranty is left, these are the features they've got on it, these are the improvements on the new vehicle that they could be considering. So where would my customer be in that buying cycle? Then it's what information do we need the customer to know about and to have? And that's where it gets really confusing, that every single one of your communications out to your customers are going to end with some dialogue along what's your best price, how much is it, what can I get it for, wasn't really considering buying right now, but how much is it out the door on the road, all taxes in, that's the only way I can make this decision. I'm not coming in till I know that information. And if you feel that that's a reasonable expectation and you give them all that information, they never show up, doesn't that tell you something? Is that really all the information the customer needed? Or did you give them all the information so that they didn't have to come in? So that they could go to the closest dealership, wherever that is, or they could go to the competitor and just make sure that your vehicle and the one that they've always driven is really the best, pardon me, choice for them. And did you give them the why to buy your vehicle again, especially if you're bringing back repeat customers over and over again, especially if they're going from a Bronco Sport into another Bronco Sport, or they're going from a RAV4 into another RAV4, or they're going from an X3 into another X3, and there really isn't a lot of change. I mean, the worst thing that you could ever possibly say is after the vehicle's been completely redesigned and somebody comes in driving almost the same vehicle and you say, well, there's not really a whole lot of difference. It's, the starter's been improved and we added heated steering wheel, but it's basically the same as your vehicle now. That's the customer who's going to want the same payment or slightly less on a 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 year old vehicle. So you got to be really careful the words that you pick to do so, because we improve so much more than just starters and adding a heated steering wheel every year. There's a whole plethora of other things. You need to know those things. But why should the customer want to buy your vehicle? That's the question I don't think any of you are really looking at and answering. And it's when you discover your why, their why, that you really have the conversation in their head that they're having. And when that's aligned, there's no reason for them to have to think about it, and there's zero confusion. Where the last point that I want to make on this is that I don't know how many times your sales manager said to you, did you ask for the sale? What I'm seeing again and again in dealership training, as well as coaching, as well as just talking to all of you on the phone, is when you're telling me customers aren't buying, they're shopping longer, they're looking for bigger discounts, they're not sure whether they'll buy today, tomorrow, this quarter, or by the end of the year. It all comes back to a simple little question about the irresistible offer. What is your irresistible offer? What did you present to the customer they just had to take advantage of? In other words, what was your call to action? In marketing and advertising, we call it the call to action at the very end of any video or at the end of any email, what we want the customer to do. If you haven't asked them to purchase, when would they like to take delivery? You don't have a call to action. You didn't ask for the sale. And I don't know why you should expect to do better and get more. And yeah, I do now understand why you're asking for more leads and better qualified leads, because you're looking for the customer that just goes, oh, this is amazing, terrific, I'll take it. You're leaving the call to action out and asking for the sale. So here's what you can do. You can go to ChatGPT, you can go to Gemini, you can go to Claude, and you can start leveraging what I call better command prompts. And you start with how the customer is doing their research on their next new vehicle. We didn't have this just half a decade ago. We didn't have this to be able to gather so much intel on how a customer thinks and how a customer makes this decision to purchase just half a decade ago. Now it's almost like we can read the customer's mind. So for instance, in order for you to capitalize on this and do it, which would then allow you to sell, and I would call that monetize your information, would be to say something like this to ChatGPT or Gemini or Claude, that you talk to it like a real person. You go to the application, you press on the microphone. You don't even have to type it. You can dictate it. If you're watching this, you can rewind my dialogue and talk to it. But this is what I say to my bot, so to speak. I really should name my bot. I don't know what gender they are, and I don't think it really matters. That's entirely up to me. But I would say to it, I am an automotive product specialist, and I'm looking for some marketing advice, and I'm looking for your assistance. Here's the thing. My customer drives a 2021 Ford Escape Titanium, and they're nearing the end of their lease. Ford has discontinued the Escape, and the natural replacement is the redesigned 2027 Ford Bronco. Could you create a side-by-side comparison between the customer's 2021 Ford Escape Titanium model, trim level in other words, and the new 2027 Ford Bronco Sport? And could you do so in a table which clearly identifies for me the safety features, the difference between the two, the technology, the fuel economy between the two, the interior space, the cargo room, the driver assistance, the towing capacity, the connectivity between the two, the infotainment system and the difference of the new system that we've got, the ride quality, the warranty, and all new features that were not available, not found in the 2021 Ford Escape Titanium. Is that not the conversation the customer is having in their own mind, trying to come to the conclusion that, okay, well, my 21 Titanium is going to be paid off. I could drive that for a year and a half, even possibly 2 years, no payments, save all that money, then trade in the Escape Titanium that now I have equity in, as well as the money that I've saved, not having a monthly payment, put that on the new Ford Bronco Sport, which in 2 years' time, the bugs will be worked out of the redesign of the new one, and I can go forward with that. Or should I consider trading my vehicle in now because the warranty has expired, the roadside assistance is up, the vehicle will start to accumulate greater maintenance costs, and is now the time I should buy? Isn't this the conversation they're having in their head? These are command prompts that we can give AI. I'll give you another little secret that I've got. This is secret number 2, the payment objection. Because I'm sure if we were live right now and you were in my seminar and you're standing in front of me, I go, am I right? Is this working? What do you think? Is everybody on board? Somebody's hand's going to go up. And it's going to be like, yeah, Bill, like that works. That's good. But at what point do we confront the elephant in the room? At what point do we start talking about the payment objection? This is where you can go back to your bot, your chat bot of AI, and talk to them like they're a real human being. Press on the microphone button and just read it into your system and just say, ChatGPT, Gemini, or Claude, I want you to assume the redesign of the 2027 Sport has a higher monthly payment than the customer's current 2021 Escape. What I need you to do is help me list all the reasons why many customers willing to invest a little bit more every month in a new vehicle, what those reasons would be. I don't want you to focus solely on feature and benefit presentation. I can do that. I can look after it. What I need your help with is the vehicle opportunities, the vehicle improvements. And those things can follow our walk around presentation of space, right? So they can follow the safety. What are the driving dynamics and the occupant protection that the 27 offers that the 21 did not or does not, or safety ratings? What is the performance, such as for lifestyle? I got to think the Bronco is far better attuned and far better capable of off-road overlanding. Not that our Escape driver can't or wouldn't even consider doing it, but now with the Ford Bronco, the new buyer may not even consider doing overlanding, but they could, because the vehicle is so capable of it through its lifestyle design, technology, accessories, and reliability to be able to do so. The appearance, look at how different the vehicle is. And how do I highlight that and identify it for the client that their Escape is worn out and tired and old design. While it was current at the time, the marketplace is now looking for overland, bold, strong, robust, that look of feeling and bigger without it being any bigger. So it'll still fit in the driveway, it'll still go in the laneway, it's still easy to park. The comfort and convenience, connectability and the reliability, the economy, the fuel economy, which lowers the monthly payment and the bi-weekly, the resale ability, you will show them what Broncos are coming in for compared to what the Escape is coming in for. And of course, the ownership experience, reducing the cost of ownership, as well as the enjoyment of having the vehicle and the new technology. This is the command prompts that we can give ChatGPT, Gemini, and Claude in order to be able to further understand the conversation that our client is having in their mind. There's a ton of others. We can include this all in step number 9, our 11 apps and technology and our manifesto. But what I'd like to leave you with, and after, I hope you've got a ton of value out of this session and you stop doing those happy customers taking delivery of their new car videos. If you want to do that at all, do a reel, do a very short testimonial video so that you can post that on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and create a YouTube channel for you where all your customers' feedback is there, because information delivered third party vis-a-vis a feedback, a live feedback, is way more believable than you saying it's a great vehicle. I've got a ton of happy and very satisfied customers with it. It's way more believable when it comes from the customer. If you're going to do anything with the customer, get a live testimonial. If they won't do a live testimonial, and you get the customer indicator score or your customer experience score or your net promoter score, then film yourself reading it. You just read exactly what they sent in the manufacturer. Another way that we're not, as salespeople, leveraging the tools that we've got at our fingertips to help customers. That's what helps customers make decisions to buy. That other customers were challenged with this problem. You had a solution. And this is what they said about your solution. That is so much more effective and advantageous, in my opinion. For what it's worth, it's my opinion. If it works for you, continue taking pictures of happy customers taking delivery. First of all, it's a post, which are almost useless. It does not stop the scroll. A video will definitely stop the scroll. If a post and a picture tell 1,000 words, can't imagine how many words that a video tells, because there's actually words in the video while people are speaking. Just give some thought to it and change it in that capacity. What I want to leave you with, if you really like what you've seen so far, I want to encourage all of you at the Auto Dealership Academy, and I'm not talking to you folks at the Auto Sales Academy because you're already in there. Everybody that is out there on LinkedIn and Instagram and Facebook following me. And oh, by the way, if you're watching me on YouTube Live, please like, subscribe, and comment. The replay will be up tomorrow by 11 o'clock. So look for that at the Auto Dealership Academy YouTube channel. For everybody, those of you on the Auto Sales Academy Facebook private members Facebook group, for those of you that are not a member of the private Facebook group, please join the group, because you can capitalize on the challenge The challenge is absolutely amazing. I created the challenge by taking all my very best information and putting it right in the front end. And if you are struggling to sell 10 vehicles per month, if you have not sold 60 vehicles by this point in the year, we're 6 months through the year, right? We're into the 7th month. You don't want to try and sell 40 vehicles from October to December. That is going to be it's doable, very, 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 very challenging. Albeit it can be doable. I've seen it done before. I had to do it when I was under the thumb. But you don't want to put that undue stress on your shoulders. So for those of you that are not a member of the Auto Sales Academy on Facebook, it's a private members group exclusively available to automobile salespeople, managers, and owners. We don't accept anybody else, not even factory representatives and factory managers. We only want retail people in that group. The challenge is in the group. It's pinned to the very top. Click on the challenge or go to the files tab and click on, and it's right at the very top of the files that are in the files tab. You can't miss it. Click on the PDF link, download the workbook, and get started on the challenge. And every day, type in the comments, done. It's simple as that. You can sell 10 cars in 10 days with that challenge, no trouble at all. All you need to do is become a member of the Auto Sales Academy and go to the files tab and click on the PDF challenge and get it and download it. And it's colorful. It's cards and scores and tracking sheets. It's actionable. And then, of course, when you're done, please tell me done and sold the car. Done, sold the car, or done. This is how easy it is to sell automobiles. When it's laid out in a system, it is murderously difficult, and you'll feel all alone if you don't have a system. And I don't believe there's a system out there anywhere close to this by any of the biggest names and the biggest trainers going, because they're distracted with other industries that they're trying to do training in. And I get that. They're spreading their wings. I only focus on automotive retail. I'm an automobile dealer to this day, registered automobile dealer today. I was a new car franchise owner. None of which of that is important. All you need to know is what is in there works. I try and test it out on our showroom floor right here, and you can get it for free. So go and get the challenge. Post every single day that you're done. Sell 10 cars in 10 days. And I think you will be off to the races to earn a 6-figure income this year. My name is Bill Harvey with the Auto Dealership Academy here on LinkedIn, live on YouTube, as well as on Instagram and the Auto Sales Academy private members Facebook group. Thanks so much for joining me. Really appreciate it. Have a wonderful day, terrific weekend. Next week, join me for buyer behavior. No two customers are the same. You need to mirror and match your behavior to match their behavior. Otherwise, they're confused with, why should I deal with you? I can just keep shopping around until I find a salesperson that I can believe and trust. That's the easiest way to sell first visit and sell 10, 20, 30 vehicles with predictable consistency. We'll talk to you again real soon. Bye-bye for now.